Bat fans. This is Batman.
And Robin, the Boy Wonder.
And me too, Batmite.
Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman. Watch us wage our never-ending battle of good versus evil.
Ride with us as we chase the greatest array of villains the world has ever seen, proving that crime does not pay.
Get set for thrills and action. Join me, Batman.
And me, Robin the Boy Wonder.
And Batgirl. And me too, Batmite.
In the super new adventures of
Batman.
Welcome back, my friends, to an all-new episode of the Batcave podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here, and once again, we're back in Gotham 1977, the Filmation television series from CBS and Filmation. And when I say we, of course, I mean our old bat chum from Comic Book Central, the man who only wants to help, Mr. Joe Stuber. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Sean. Love is in the air. Batgirl is back, and
Yes.
Batmite has got his mojo again. I'm going to love this episode. Just for that alone, I'm giving this 5 stars.
Already, it's like we're done. He loves it.
We're done.
Well,
That's it. Spoiler alert, I love this episode. And look, you cannot deny the magnetism between Batgirl and Batmite, right? There's some magnetism in this episode.
There's definitely some sort of magnetism there. Yeah, I got to, and I didn't get to ask you about this last episode because there is something about Batmite. Is he all powerful, or does he have a lot of power, or is he, it's strange because in the last episode with Penguin, he seemed to be intimidated by Penguin. And at one point he tries to sneak away, and I'm thinking, why don't you just disappear? Here he's popping in, he's popping out. He makes a love cycle for himself. I mean, it's literally a motorcycle with hearts all over it.
But the wheels are hearts.
Yes.
So they're not round. So he didn't make them. I think I don't know, maybe his powers are limited or something, or they're limited to his intellect. Maybe he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
I don't know.
The powers are limited to that, whereas if maybe he did a little more reading or something, he could come up with circular wheels, or a love cycle that has a warranty.
Right.
He forgot the warranty. This is a fun one. I just like we talked about last episode, Batgirl wasn't in it. She's back in this one. I always love the dynamic where, Batmite becomes love struck with her. It's a very cool episode. April 9th, 1977, we're going back for The Chameleon.
Mm-hmm. Written by Chuck Menville.
Yeah, we discussed him on some past episodes. So if you've missed any of those, go back and check it out. We talked about some of the ones he wrote. He's got 2 more episodes coming up. Birds of a Feather, Fool Around Together. And this looks like a job for Batmite. I'm really looking forward to that one. I don't know if this one was a job for Batmite, but and Chuck Menville. For anyone listening to Comic Book Central, they know that I've been on a Tarzan kick. Or if you follow me on social media, I'm posting I'm ordering stuff all the time about Tarzan. I'm on this huge Tarzan kick. I had Scott Tracy Griffin, Tarzan author, on the show. Chuck Menville wrote a ton of Filmation's Tarzan episodes, and I'll be honest, I haven't really seen these since back in the day. So I went out and got the Filmation set, season 1, a bunch, and Chuck wrote a ton of these episodes for this season. I don't know why they haven't released seasons 2 through 4. Maybe they didn't sell. Maybe there's who knows. But we should do like a Tarzan Filmation podcast. I'm going back, and according to Scott, like that Filmation cartoon was one of the most faithful adaptations to Edgar Rice Burroughs' original character, too. So Menville's got his resume is just so good. And this episode that he wrote, The Chameleon, I think is one of the strongest episodes of this particular series. I love this episode. It's weird. It's wacky. Yeah, I don't know if he read some Spider-Man comic books and came up with that. Who knows? But I love this episode.
I will say I did like at least because, he took the name, but he is nothing like our Chameleon from Spider-Man comics because he is an actual physical shapeshifter. Yeah,
we talked about this and I think it was Bite-Sized with Electro.
Mm-hmm.
he kind of, so I don't like, I mean, these aren't like the names like Chameleon. It's, you know, it means something. We know what that means. Maybe he didn't know that there was a chameleon from Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, 1963, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, who, like, you would think maybe he would have. Or why didn't Marvel raise a fuss? Maybe they didn't even see the series. I mean, who knows? And Electro from Biteside, I guess Electron is a word, so maybe that comes out. Who knows? Or maybe he was mining some Marvel stuff for some names. I don't know. But like you said, it has nothing to do with and it's such a cool misdirect in this episode because the chameleon, Marvel chameleon, like pretends to be somebody else, right? Or puts on the image of somebody else, or like masks and things like that. If I'm remembering right, I think it's like masks and things. Whereas this one comes across a little more like, I'm like thinking like Plastic Man or Elongated Man from DC, because when you see these things, first of all, it kind of looks like them. Like that kind of like rubbery, stretchy image. And then there's like stretching involved, and like Plastic Man used to always become like a table or like some object and things like too. But he would always have like Plastic Man face and costume on it. It's like, hey, there's a table. It looks like Plastic Man. Couldn't figure it out. But this chameleon doesn't transform into other people. So I think there's the clue right there, right off the bat, that he's not really a chameleon, I guess. I don't know.
Well, he's not a chameleon in the way that Chameleon in the Spider-Man comic. I mean, making comparisons, Chameleon in the Spider-Man comic is more like Falseface in the Batman 66 series. He's able to physically change his looks and his clothing at almost instantly, it seems. I mean, later we'll find out it's a projection device or something like that, if I remember correctly. Yeah. For Chameleon, anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's like Clayface. If you're going to stay in the Batman universe, I guess like Clayface, because Clayface could form clothing, but it was always like people, right? He'd like pretend I'm this person or this person.
Right. He never really did. Yeah, no, you're right. He never was like a table, which then also just begs, I guess, well, then considering his shape-shifting abilities, it's why they didn't use Clayface for this episode. Yeah.
And again, that's the clue when you're watching it at the beginning. Because my first thing, again, when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like Plasma Man. It's kind of like, wait, he's a rocket ship with fuel? Mm-hmm. Wait, what? He's a car? Wait, it's like all these objects, and you're like, okay, something's off here. Something's weird. So that's why I like this episode, is there are these layers that come in, because sometimes with these episodes it's very straightforward. Like the last one we talked about with the Penguin, it was so basic and it's strange. Like send him to the South Pole, and what? Okay, but this one it's like there's something going on, and there is a misdirect, and there is a reveal at the end.
Yes,
that I thought was pretty cool. But I do love these original characters. Yeah, Penguin in the last one is a classic Batman villain, but Moon Man, Electro, Chameleon. I do love that Filmation kind of created these. They kind of did that with Isis too, didn't they? Like with it's like, well, let's create our own superhero, and then she became like part of the DC universe. But Filmation owned that. So like maybe they were thinking, let's create some of these original characters. Maybe we could spin them off into something else. I have no idea. But
well, they didn't want to pay for the rights for another DC hero. So that's why, because they were like, oh, we want to do another hero show, but we don't want to pay for the rights like we had to pay for Captain Marvel. So they went and created Isis. And I'm guessing it's sort of the same thing here. It's like, okay, you get the Batman rights, and here's the basic package of Joker, Penguin, what have you. Oh, can we do Poison Ivy? Because by the 70s we had Poison Ivy. Can we do Poison Ivy? Well, that's going to cost you extra. Never mind.
Right. Can we do Riddler? No, you can't do Riddler because he's on Super Friends. Like, can we make him in a pink costume? Sure, you can.
That you can do. Just don't have him speak. The moment he speaks, you're in trouble.
That's when you're in trouble. No, I do like, and I would. This is a character, Chameleon, I would have loved to have seen in the comic books, or to I do dig this character. I do kind of dig what they did with it. I love the look. I love the costume. It's the crazy quilt of colors. It's almost like a trickster kind of outfit that he's wearing. He's got these real cool, funky, like steampunky glasses.
Yes.
I don't even know where it's a really cool look. And for this series, it's such a breath of fresh air after the last episode that it was okay. Penguin did some weird things and some penguin things with birds and stuff. But, the woodpecker in the back. But this one really feels original to me. And again, bringing Batgirl back for this. It was pretty cool.
Let me ask you this now, and then think about it as we're talking, or maybe you've got an answer already, as we did with some of the other Filmation originals. And of course, we obviously Sweet Tooth was supposed to be, at least based on the way Paul Lynde, with the way they were doing the voice. Who would you cast as the Chameleon if this were a live action Batman story?
I'll probably cheat a little bit because doing some research and different things, I saw some reviews of this mentioning he sounds a lot like Edward Everett Horton.
Okay.
In this. So there's like the voice there. I would have, and again, I know Roddy McDowall was Bookworm,
yes,
but I almost see Roddy McDowall in this. I always thought Bookworm, I don't know, it wasn't up to Roddy McDowall status. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't seem like a villain worthy enough for Roddy McDowall, just carrying a book around or This one seems like he could have really had some fun with it.
Oh, he definitely could have. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of see him as that. That's the first thing that jumped out at me. Who would you cast?
I like that about Horton. I could see that. Honestly, I because I'm just trying to picture with the look and stuff, someone thin, someone, if it were today, what is his name? Doug, the one who plays Saru on Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. I could easily see Doug Jones playing
today. Yeah, if you were going to do
yeah, I know.
I like Gotham. If you were on Gotham or something
going
like that,
back,
you could put Doug Jones in that. Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, obviously
Dick York.
Oh, Dick York would have been perfect. Yeah. I was thinking somebody like that sort of thing, or like who I can't remember the actor who played like Dennis the Menace's dad on the TV.
Someone
show.
like him, him too.
Yeah, but definitely like Jim Carrey could have been somebody like this, especially when the rubbery kind of thing. You think of The Mask. When he did the Mask movie or something like that. It's such just the fact that we're talking about it in depth like this tells you that this is a pretty cool character that they put together, and then. The plot itself, it's again, the energy crisis was really, go back
to the energy crisis, yeah.
And now, to dedicate the new Gotham City solar power plant, here is Police Commissioner Gordon and his daughter, Assistant District Attorney Barbara Gordon.
Thank you. When I press this button, all of Gotham City's electrical power will be supplied by this giant mirror that collects not only the energy of the sun, but that of the moon as well. It is a great step forward.
And he's putting all of Gotham's energy eggs into one basket.
Yes.
It's going to all be powered by this giant mirror or mirror. It's like, well, it's a very strange reading. But, and that's the plot. Like, Gordon, don't put everything into, have a backup, right? Because that's the plot is if Chameleon can shut down this plant and this mirror, he shuts down all of Gotham City, and then he and his 1930s gangsters that he teams up with, they can all loot Gotham in the dark, right? That's the whole plot. But again, people keep wondering, like some of these episodes, if you're watching them now, there's all these energy crisis things and different things going on. It's like, yeah, but we talked about this before. Back in the day, I can remember like gas lines. Like if your license plate ended in an odd number, you can only get gas on odd number days. I remember that. I remember as a kid, we could only get gas on certain days.
Yep.
It was such a strange time, and that's really reflected in some of these scripts. So they're big on the energy crisis here. Again, the home life of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. Just so many moments. First of all, they dress alike in this.
Yes.
So when they're not wearing the ascot and the suits, they both have to wear red track. They almost look like $6 Million Man, like Steve Austin red tracksuits.
They do. That's what I was trying to figure out what they look like. You're right. They do kind of look like the tracksuit, and they're wearing the exact same ones
exactly
Bert,
like they
as
shop
Bert,
together.
As Dick does a cookout there.
So last episode, Dick Grayson is the barber. In this one, he's the chef. So Bruce does nothing. He just sits back. Again, he's saving money, right? He doesn't have to have a chef in house. He doesn't have to have Alfred. He doesn't have to have hairstylist. Mm-hmm. Dick does all the work.
Can you believe it, Bruce? We finally have a night off.
Mm-hmm. And I'm enjoying every peaceful minute of it, Dick.
How do you like your burger? Rare? Medium?
Surprise!
Or well done.
Batmite, that was our supper.
No problem, Dickie boy. No problem. But first of all, if you're gonna eat, you need more heat.
That might turn it off.
Okay. Just as soon as I remember how.
Never mind.
They're all upset because he burned one burger. Well, first of all, when you grill, one always gets toasted, right? Yeah. When you're grilling, there's always one that either falls in or something. And he's a billionaire, John. He's a billionaire. I think he's got. Put another burger down. That's right. You think you've got a whole, fridge full of meat back there? Bat baloney.
I did like, though, because they're called away when they hear this strange sound, and they head off, and Batmite thinks he's going to go with them, and they're like, "Oh no, you have to clean up this mess first you made from your, and he stays. And I gotta say, it was a good, it's like. No, you can't just leave these responsibilities. I know it's like, maybe I'm reaching too much for a moral, although we do get a good moral at the end as well. I will say that.
Two in a row, John. We're on a hot streak.
But I did like this. I like the whole thing. Of course, then it also does lead to a silly bit as Batmite tries to clean and use his powers to do it. So
there's the wacky zany thing, and then the kids are happy because they get to see some Batmite wacky zaniness. But look, we know that Bruce doesn't have a housekeeper either, right? No butler, no housekeeper, no chef, no nothing. So put Batmite to work. He's got to clean up the mess. It's interesting, and it's. We talked about in the last one, all the holies, like Bert's holies, holy this, holy that. Like I think last time was so overwhelming. There were too many of them. I didn't notice as many in this one, although one of my favorite holies appears in this episode when they're talking about the chameleon. Holy stretch marks.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. They're lured into a trap. The chameleon becomes an octopus. So that was, I think, was that one of the only living creature kind of things that he became? Because everything else was sort of like a machine, like a car, a rocket, an airplane.
I believe,
a filing cabinet. Again, with a filing cabinet. What was with filing cabinets in the 70s? They're obsessed with filing cabinets.
The plane bit, well, first of all, I thought it was funny because when he first turns into the octopus, the squid, he is still wearing the glasses. But then when we cut to later, the glasses are off him.
This is Filmation. This is Filmation at its best because, again, we always talk about the inverted R on Robin. He didn't even have one in this one. It's gone. There's no R at all. It's like they didn't even bother with that one. So, the glasses, no glasses. That's not surprising on this. But, again, it's just like what he morphs into is just so random. One other scene, I think it was in that scene where they're kind of battling. It might be in the squid scene. The music, sometimes we talk about the music. You get the stock Filmation music that's always going on. There was the danger music in this one that I think was from Shazam and ISIS, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Okay.
He's real, all right, and we're in real trouble.
Boy, am I glad that noise is... Oh, yipes! Here's just the thing for a slippery character like you. Grease.
Robin, now.
Yahoo! Yippee! We got him! We got him!
And I thought it was effective in this.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. From that, and also I think that music was also used in Star Trek.
Oh yeah. I mean, they reused it a lot of times, but I think it is really effective music. And Batmite gets back to being helpful.
Yes,
we always talk about the fact that he's always screwing up. In the last episode, he was really messing up a lot.
Big time.
But he's back to being helpful again. He has a grease gun. He makes a grease gun appear and
makes a grease gun, and helps to sort of I guess throw off Chameleon because he's like a plow that's heading towards Batman and Robin and such.
Vehicle. He's big on morphing into the vehicles, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know what I loved? I loved the part because, at first they capture him and then he's able to escape through no fault of Batmite, but he's able to escape and he turns into a plane. And what I love is he's standing on the corner of the building on the roof and he just starts to kind of pitch forward. And as he does, he changes into the plane and the plane takes off. It's so well done. I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool moments in this. I don't know how. Again, a lot of the stuff he has, whether it's a vehicle or a plane or a rocket or whatever, is powered by fuel. Where does he keep the fuel? Maybe it's the same fuel that was in the bat skis in the last episode that got them from the South Pole 9,000 miles back. Look, there's an energy crisis on. I think they've solved it with this thing. Apparently they can fuel vehicles in these little containers for thousands of miles. Maybe somebody could have figured that out and solved the energy crisis at the time. You wouldn't need a big giant mirror to screw you up. And of course, Batmite's love cycle.
Yes.
You mentioned it earlier, comes into play. And it just, I don't think we'd seen that before, had we?
No.
Okay.
And we've never heard him refer to her as the gorgeous gangbuster.
That was my favorite. I love that. He comes up with these nicknames and he is so enamored with her. And she is a gorgeous gangbuster. I'm glad we have her back in this one. He does goof up. And look, it's Batmite. He's got to make mistakes somewhere, right? So he does goof up and gets himself and Batgirl captured.
Yes.
So I thought, but he was helpful early in this episode, and I do like that about it.
He's helpful early in this episode. He's, not. I mean, everything he does, except for the whole thing with Batgirl, whenever there are moments of goofiness, it's just pretty much him. He doesn't get in the way of Batman and Robin themselves. My only issue with the whole episode itself is that the first half is all a lot of setup, and the plot really doesn't kick in until Act 2. That's when Batman and Robin are tricked into cutting off the power so they don't crash into, as you said, putting your eggs in one basket, the one place that's collecting this energy and distributing it to Gotham City. So they have to basically cut the power there by creating this smoke screen over the collector and such, which then allows our gangsters to go in and rob the mint. And that all is great.
The U.S. Mint was in Gotham, right?
Well, there was a Gotham Mint in the 66 series that Batman helps Catwoman rob at one point.
Is this a branch of the one in D.C.? Do they franchise it out into Gotham? And they're apparently minting quarters there too.
Yes.
They're walking off with a bag of quarters. I think you guys could think a little higher than this.
Right.
You kind of, I guess, have to separate Chameleon from the gangsters at some point because they think like he keeps getting captured or he's not doing what he said he was going to do or something. So they kind of split them off from that. But that leads to that really cool aerial chase that you were talking about between the Bat plane and Chameleon as the Chameleon plane or whatever he is. I thought that aerial chase was really cool.
Yes. Yep, I agree. Totally agree. I don't have a lot of notes after this. I really was just more into watching the story. My last note, unless there's anything else you want, is about the twist at the end, which I'll leave to you.
I thought that was the biggest thing. How often do these episodes have twists? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You get the criminal at the beginning, and they battle and do some weird things and pull out a batarang, and Batmite pops in and kisses Batgirl at the end, and that's it. But this one has such a cool mystery, and there's a backstory. Look, how often do we get backstories in these things?
Now, look what you've done. Holy Humpty Dumpty!
I don't believe it.
You've destroyed the Chameleon. My masterpiece is ruined.
And so is your career as a criminal, Dr. Devious.
You know him, Batman?
Yes, Commissioner. I sent him to jail 10 years ago for inventing an automatic lock picker. He swore then that he'd get even with me.
And I will, Batman. Just give me time.
Don't worry, Dr. Devious. We're going to give you plenty of time.
I mean, Moon Man, I think, we got some things in there, but Yeah, Batman. It's Dr. Devious. There's been a robot the whole time. I'm like, how is he stretching, and why is he only morphing into a machine? Oh, he's a robot. And apparently, Batman locked him up, 10 years ago for creating a lockpick?
Yes.
He should have just used the woodpecker lockpick that Penguin used in the last episode. He could have. It was that technology. The Flintstones mastered it, right? I think you mentioned that. Yes. Apparently, this guy went to jail for technology that was mastered by the Flintstones. Anyway, he's been seething in prison this whole time, plotting his revenge. So he creates this robot that can do anything. It's Dr. Devious. He's like this, little dude inside this mechanical robot. I thought that was such a cool switch at the end there, because they defeat him with a giant magnet, of course, the Bat Magnet.
Yes. And for some reason, though, it all of a sudden the chameleon breaks apart then with the magnet.
Yeah.
Which I thought, okay, I guess,
That's his weakness, right? Superman has a kryptonite. Dr. Devious and Chameleon have magnets. There's the magnetism, right?
Right.
And you can't deny the magnetism between Batmite and Batgirl. He gets a smooch at the end. They get the 1930s gangsters. They're able to defeat them together. Batman and Robin defeat the Chameleon. Gotham is powered back up again because they blow the smoke screen off the mirror. Yes. It powers the entire city again. It's just it's a pretty cool episode. I really like this one. It's, if nothing else, give it points for being unique.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, it is a fun, and it certainly is, notches above the Penguin episode we did previously.
Yeah, I think these original Filmation 77 Batman Rogues Gallery, I like those. I think those are the stronger episodes that come in. They're certainly the more memorable ones.
Right. I think a lot of that may also have to do with just the simple fact that the writers have created these villains, so they're more in touch with them. It's like, well, okay, you've got Penguin. If you turned to me and said, you're a writer for our series and you got to write a Penguin story, I could probably give you a Penguin story, but it's not going to be my best because I don't have that thrill, that excitement about it and such. Catwoman, okay, that's a little bit more, it's funny. I say, like I was saying in the last episode, Penguin's kind of like, a gimmick, with his birds and stuff. But so is Catwoman in a way. But there's more of a layer to Catwoman. There's her relationship with Batman. They add more. Penguin is Penguin. But then you
write a lot of bird jokes. You're going to put a lot of bird jokes in it, and a lot of bird visuals, and there's vultures in that one and different things. And so you kind of know what you're going to be getting into. But like you said, with these original ones, there's a lot more coming in. There's a blank slate almost.
Exactly. So, and you're painting the canvas and you're writing up, and you can get more, and you can do things like, and here's the surprise twist at the end that he's actually a robot controlled by, Dr. Devious. Yeah, or it's I think of Stargirl, like the big robot, Stars, and then he's in the chest of the giant robot, maneuvering it, and it's kind of like that. It's really cool. And then he's taken away to prison, and he vows revenge again. Like he's going to come back. That would have been cool again to see this character play out in the comic books. I think you could have done so much with him. He can create like an army of robots, an army of chameleon robots. I'm sure Marvel probably would have said something at that point. Maybe just call them something different. But yeah, this would have been a cool character to create like this army of robots to go after the dynamic duo, or to like take over Gotham, or to take over the world that can become anything. I mean, he could have an army of Warcraft, of battleships or something. Who knows? Well, he is devious. Mm-hmm. And he has a medical degree, apparently. Yes, because he is a doctor.
He does, and he plays one on TV.
Oh my goodness.
And now these messages.
Coke gets hot, it's got the taste and the feeling you like. Coca-Cola, the pizza's hot. Boy, I'm really hungry now. Jumbo size, wow, pepperoni, mushroom, sausage and cheese. Ice cold Coca-Cola, hurry up please. Coke gets right, everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola.
Last moments of doomed jetliner transcript at 11. You're the one who asked me how much lean meat actually gets into that McDonald's hamburger. Come on, I'll show you. Look, 100% pure beef, and see how lean it is. Leaner than the ground beef most people eat at home. What kind of cuts? Well, all those you see here, including the chuck, round, and sirloin. That's quality.
Here's your lunch, Carol.
Why, thank you. Quality you can taste.
That message.
That Dr. Devious sure had a lot of talent to create such a robot.
Yes, but it's too bad he wasted his talent on crime.
Remember, we all have talents and abilities.
And it's our responsibility to decide how we use them, for right or wrong.
Speaking of talent, here I
am. We get ourselves a bat message.
Yes.
And an actual message about using our talents for right or wrong.
John, we all have talents and abilities.
Yes, we do.
It's our responsibility to decide how we use them for right or wrong. Yeah, it's just, I get 2 in a row now. We harp on this all the time, that the bat messages are so weak that they're almost like an afterthought on some of these. But we got 2 in a row that teach us something, to be better people. Yes. That's what we want. We want our Cape Crusaders to teach us how to be better, John, and we can be better.
And like I like to say, you know, we like to do on the Shazam ISIS podcast, because we do discuss the moral that ISIS or Captain Marvel or Billy, in some cases, would present to us. We ask if it holds up. These morals, these 2 lessons hold up today. I mean, certainly, you know, there are plenty of talented people out there who just use their talents for the wrong things and could be doing so much better with the world.
That's right. You can apply that to however you want. Yes. You can apply it in any venue you want, or you could apply it to yourself. And that's the whole message of these things, is apply it to yourself and be a better person and make the world around you a little better. We learned that from our superheroes. We love that. But they really need to close that filing cabinet. In fact, they really do. And again, I don't know why they have a filing cabinet full of paperwork. Again, all these cases, I guess Robin's up till the burning the midnight oil, filling out papers.
Filling out paperwork.
I don't know. I just don't understand. It's certainly a visual, but yeah, the filing cabinet plays into a lot in these past few episodes. But there you go, the bat filing cabinet.
Yeah, 10 years ago in '66 show, fine, there were filing cabinets in the back cave. But now it's '77, and you've got this monstrous computer with an attitude. You know,
it's sentient. It's sentient,
right?
And he could be the chef. Like, why couldn't the bat computer flip burgers upstairs? They could put Dick to work all the time. Come on, Bruce. Give Dick a break. It's his day off and he's cooking.
Exactly. Well, you figure, who cleans the house? It's probably Dick too.
Well, unless it's Batmite that he has to clean up his mess.
Maybe, yeah. All right, so much better episode, as you said at the beginning. 5 out of 5. I think we're both on the same page here. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. A lot more fun than Penguin was.
Oh yeah.
Now we will be back soon with another episode of the Batcave podcast, looking at Filmation 77. But before we do, Joe, let's talk a little bit for a moment about what's happening over at Comic Book Central.
Oh, lots of fun stuff. You know, as I mentioned, Frank Welker's out there. So if you haven't heard the Frank Welker episode,
that was fantastic.
Thank you. Please go listen to that. He does like so many different voices, even on the podcast. We talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark for the 40th anniversary. He was the monkey in that. Speaking of voiceover artists, by the time this episode airs, you're going to hear my chat with Billy West. The great Billy West, from Ren and Stimpy, obviously, but it's the anniversary of Space Jam. Again, Billy doing a lot of voices when he joins me. Lois and Clark. I've been enjoying going back and watching episodes of Lois and Clark. You know, I'm a huge Superman fan. Lane Davies talk about an original supervillain. If you're a fan of Lois and Clark, you remember Tempest, the time-traveling Terra Tempest.
Yes.
He would come in and it was like, duh. Clark Kent is Superman. He's like revealed it to Lois Lane, Terry Hatcher. So we talk about that. The great Lane Davies was there. And the showrunners for season 2 through 4, Deborah Joy Levine, she was the showrunner. She created the show in season 1. She left. And then Eugenie Ross Lemming and Robert Singer came in seasons 2 through 4. So we talk all about those. Those are like the Tempest years and things like that. So they joined me. Nicole David, the original Velma from Scooby-Doo, had Frank Welker. He was on the original series. The original Velma, Nicole David, she's going to be joining me by the time you hear this. That episode should be out there as well. And I am in a Tarzan mood. Scott Tracy Griffin, Tarzan author, he joined me. I've been going back and watching the Filmation cartoons. So if you love some Lord of the Jungle, you're going to want to stay tuned.
Nice. Very nice. And you can find all that at comicbookcentral.net, your central location for all things comic book.
That's where you can find it. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever the coolest podcasts can be found, and the Batcave podcast. Go subscribe to both shows and rate and review and give it likes and share it on Facebook, both of them, because there's lots of cool stuff that John and I are talking about, and it's cool nerd stuff and cool pop culture stuff. So share it with your comic book loving friends and family.
Yes, indeed, yes. And we are going to be continuing sharing the cool stuff here in the Batcave as Joe and I return. And the next time we get together, we're going to be doing another team-up episode here in which Joker teams up with the Catwoman in the episode He Who Laughs Last.
Love supervillain team-ups.
Yes.
Love supervillain team. Look, if you're going to get a supervillain, get two supervillains. That's what I love about the Batman 66 show, when you get them multiple ones in one episode. Oh, those are always fun.
It'll be interesting to see the dynamic between these two compared to the Batman 66 Joker Catwoman team-up when Eartha Kitt was Catwoman.
Yeah.
See how that all plays out.
Yeah, and so many. Look, Batman 66. We loved all our Catwomen on there, but I love this one too, and this one. And it's like the costume. It's so different. Anyway, it's the Filmation is in a world of its own. The 77 one, and it's just good stuff, especially when these classic villains get together.
Exactly. Yep. So stay tuned for all that, folks. Make sure, as Joe says, you've subscribed. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, we're all on there as well, including I see myself, I see the podcast on some of these platforms. I'm like, I didn't put it there, but okay. I'm game. Go ahead.
It's the back computer, John. I told you, it's taking over. It's grabbing the podcast and it's putting it where it needs to be. Everywhere. It's the rise of the machines, and we're okay as long as the podcast pops up somewhere, right?
Exactly. We're fine with that. We give in to our machine masters here.
Let it take over. Less work for us.
And of course, folks, for your central location for all things Batcave Podcast, head on over to thebatcavepodcast.com. So, folks, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, citizens, Joe, take care, everybody.
Goodbye, my bat chum. Goodbye, all.